On Friday, March 24th, 2006, young adults and teenagers all over the Seattle, Washington area were excited and preparing to attend a zombie-themed rave called Better Off Undead at the Capitol Hill Arts Center on 12th Avenue in the city. Several hundred attendees were expected to dance and socialize well into the early morning hours. The rave scene was gaining massive popularity at the time. It was known not only as dance parties that heavily relied on electronic or techno music, bright lights, and wild dancing, but built into an ever-growing community that believed in inclusion and acceptance, since many would have been considered somewhat outsiders to mainstream social culture. An unofficial motto for the community is peace, love, unity, and respect. Two of the ravers going that night were friends Melissa Moore, 14, and Suzanne Thorne, 15. Melissa was a sweet and generous girl who could be seen as quiet until you get to know her. She loved rap and R&B music, Disney, and the Seattle sports teams, the Mariners and the Seahawks. Melissa was always willing to do anything to help out a friend. Suzanne looked up to pacifists such as Gandhi and enjoyed the writings of the Dalai Lama. At her tender young age, she hoped to start a nonviolent movement to end terrorism, according to her mother. She was outgoing, loved animals, and had collected a myriad of pets in her life, including turtles, geckos, hamsters, snakes, and frogs. She wanted to open a no-kill animal shelter when she got older. They met up with more friends at the rave and enjoyed hours of music and dancing. At some point in the wee hours of the morning, a few dozen partiers gathered for an after-party at a house on East Republican Street in the Capitol Hill section of Seattle. One of the people who lived there was 26-year-old Jeremy Martin. He was one of the founders of Chaos Labs, a Seattle group that had begun throwing independent warehouse parties with electronic music, bands, and interactive art. He was also an aspiring DJ who had been doing a lot of production work around town, according to the local Burning Man regional representative, Dave Martinez. He was also looking for ways to enjoy life and have fun. He never met a stranger and was a very supportive and encouraging friend to all. Also in the house that night was 32-year-old Jason Travers. Jason grew up in upstate New York and had attended Schenectady County Community College before traveling around. The free-spirited Jason wound up in Michigan, where he helped open a comic book store, but eventually settled in Seattle, where he loved collecting sea glass along the beach. He was funny, gentle, and loved kung fu movies. 22-year-old Justin Schwartz had become well known in the rave scene at the time for his love of music and dancing. Born in Alaska, as a member of the Cupik tribe, he was adopted at 1 year old. He graduated from Missouri Military Academy in Mexico, Missouri. He loved traveling and was active in student government while attending South Seattle Community College. Justin loved playing the piano, bowling, and golf. Christopher Williamson, whose nickname was Deacon, found acceptance amongst the rave community. He had a strong faith and was heavily involved with his local church, too. Music was very important to this witty, intelligent, charming 21-year-old. Christopher had struggled with addiction, but had recently completed a treatment program. He intended the rave that night to be his last to avoid temptations. At some point during the rave, one of the after-party attendees had extended an invitation to 28-year-old Kyle Huff. He was described as quiet but friendly. He was very new to the rave scene, but being welcoming as they were, someone asked if he wanted to go back to the Blue House and continue the party. He accepted. He hung out, smoked some pot, and chatted with others until close to 7 a.m., when he went to his truck that he had parked close by. There, he grabbed a 12-gauge pistol-grip Winchester Defender shotgun and a .40 caliber semi-automatic Ruger handgun, and several bandoliers, over 300 rounds worth of ammunition for the guns. As he walked back towards the house, he spray-painted the word "now" on a neighbor's front steps. He proceeded to walk to the front porch, where he came across Melissa Moore and Suzanne Thorne, who were likely waiting for a ride home. He shot them both in the chest and head. The partygoers heard the shots and began running in panic. Jason Travers was shot while sitting in a chair in the living room and speculated to be sleeping. He continued shooting, striking and killing Christopher Williamson, Justin Schwartz, and Jeremy Martin. Another victim was shot on the first level but survived. As Huff moved to the second floor, he was heard saying, "There's plenty for everyone." Once upstairs, he fired towards a locked bathroom where a couple had hid. Luckily, they were not struck. 2 more people were struck, but not fatally. A neighbor who heard the gunfire and saw the hysteria of the partygoers fleeing called 911, as did the couple locked in the bathroom. Steve Leonard, an officer on patrol, also heard the shots and headed in that direction. He approached the scene and encountered one of the injured partiers as Kyle Huff was about to come down the front steps of the house. But before the officer could even command him to drop his weapon, Huff put the gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger. In less than 4 minutes, 6 young innocent lives were stolen and the Rave community devastated. Law enforcement searched Huff's truck and found even more weapons, including a Colt AR-15 semi-automatic assault rifle, another handgun, several more boxes of ammunition, a baseball bat, and a machete. Word had spread that he intended on opening fire at a different venue, Studio 7, that had fewer exits, but a last-minute cancellation of that event caused a change in his plans. Exact motive is not, nor will ever be known for sure, but speculation is always present. On February 1st, 2006, someone with the email address kylehuff23@hotmail.com inquired on a local Rave message board asking when the next rave was, because he had never been to one. Also, a month after the shooting, an apartment manager of a complex close to Kyle's former residence called police for a possible bomb in one of their dumpsters. It turned out to be nothing more than modeling clay and wires, but during the investigation, police found a handwritten note in the dumpster allegedly written by Huff. The Washington State Patrol's State Crime Lab concluded that it was highly probable that the letter was authentic. The letter gave insight into Huff's opinion on the Rave community. He felt they didn't have the same moral standards that he did. Thank you for watching Justice Calls. Are you listening?